Predicted rain in Indonesia. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Did think how they ended up with events and podiums for only 15 events. Well, that's because I was in the four-wheeled version of this thing. Here we go. Oh, piss. I need to update my computer. I need to upload all these videos that I'm storing up. And I really need to update. I'm 285 upstream. And I don't want to leave it so long that I fuck up my keys again, because that was a pain in the ass to fix. After a while of not updating, I tend to like think about going back to more LTS, like a not a rolling release distro, but you know, a quicker release distro, like every 6 months or something. And then I realised that by the time the 6 month thing is in, they're 6 months out of date because they've been testing for the last 6 months. So it's like you end up with updates that's 12 months old, and it's like, yeah. That's just more hassle. Whenever you hear about a new update, you can at least update if you need to. It's like, oh yeah, graphics drivers, fix this game and make it play 200 frames a second. Like, sick. Otherwise it's like, I remember one on Ubuntu, I completely forgot about the game by the time I got the graphics driver update, because I wasn't thinking about it. And I am absolutely shattered. Damn it. This is my monkey. The little monkey, the tri monkey. Nah, balls. Thought I was gonna make that. Ah, piss. Now we're getting into the very few people who've played this stuff. What? Hey, Rain. Fuck. How you doing? I can't think of what a V8 sounds like. The only engine I can think of is the old Formula 1 V12s that are just like a fucking bee's nest. Yeah, it was like, and everyone's like, oh, why did they get rid of them? It's like, because they sound really fucking annoying. I can't think of what they sound like, but the current Gen Rally 1 cars with the hybrid, they sound really good. I know that the electric sounds really good. I do like the sound of electric cars. Mostly because I prefer the sound of tyres on ground to the actual car. So you can hear the motor and the car. But then when they kick over to engine power, brum. Yeah, the anti-lag, and it's just like... I did love that in some stages, because it's rally, they had to not use the anti-lag because the electric motor was just so powerful that it would break grip. I don't know if they'll get that under control over time, and probably did by the end of the year. This was one of the very early rallies. Can't remember which one. I was watching the Red Bull highlights. You know, like, one of the drivers was saying, yeah, we couldn't actually, you know, I was just using the engine. I didn't use the motor out of the corners because the engine perfect, you know, I know how to put my foot on an engine to stop it from breaking grip, and you can kind of floor it, and you just let the lag of the turbo handle the, you know, the revving up of the engine handle the wheel spin. Whereas electric's just so instant that you have to feather it so much more. You have to be careful. Like an engine, it's got lag. Just naturally, and a normal engine has lag, so you put your foot on and you hear it go vroom, and you go, oh, that was a bit far, and you can pull it back before that actually gets to the wheel. Honestly, I did see, I should actually watched it, but I did see a video for a while. I know the reason I didn't watch it. It had a thumbnail that said, this isn't fucking bike racing. And it was Formula E. It was talking about how Formula E was rubbish because it's pack racing. And I was like, nah, pack racing's amazing. When I was watching MotoGP, I didn't care about the actual MotoGP, but Moto2 and Moto3, which are pack racing, so much better. I much prefer pack racing. I don't know if that's just because I come from cycling, you know, and pack racing is how we have to do it because you don't have an engine. And saving your actual energy is important. Are you even playing the new WRC? I might get it. It's got decent rating on Proton, but like, I don't think I need another rally game because I just like this one. And I've not played Dirt Rally 2 in ages because I just haven't felt the need for a more realistic rally game. Yeah. The only reason I'd be getting it would be to do the club races in Art of Rally. But there's enough events going on across all games. It's not worth getting a game just to do events in, you know? Maybe if it goes on big sale or something, for cheap, and I can be bothered to get it. Because that's why I got Dirt Rally. Because it was a £5. And to be honest with you, I regret spending £5 on it because I could have spent £3. Because there is no point in having the DLC. The DLC actually actively ruined my experience of Dirt Rally 2. It meant the career was entirely pointless because I was able to upgrade every single, from the cash that it gives you for having the career and all of the bonus cars it gives you. I was able to upgrade everything and race in every daily event without having to play the career and actually buy cars. So I didn't have to play the career, so I've literally not played the career. I've played a bit of it, but yeah. I didn't get it for the career, but it did just mean that the career was completely pointless. Because you get just as much money doing dailies, so for any of the other upgrades I might want. Definitely glad that I didn't get Dirt Rally 1 though, which I was going to do since they shut down the servers about 2 months after. Because I was thinking, oh, will Dirt Rally 2 actually run that well on my computer. Yeah, the thing for me is that it doesn't really tell you if you're at the highest level of difficulty of AI. And it gets more difficult if you play more difficult cars. And as well, for me, I'd rather compare myself to the best. You know, what percentage am I off of the best people in the world? Like I do in this with the dailies. I just go, where am I? And this has a feature that Dirt Rally doesn't have, which is that if you want to, you can go and grind the daily and then post about it on Discord, and other people will probably grind the daily with you. So if you just take the daily track and the car and go try and run it, other people will probably do it with you. So you can turn it into a more Trackmania track of the day thing. So I did think if I ever got Trackmania and bought it, which I'm probably not going to, because it has so far failed to even be playable on Linux for a month at a time. So there's no point in me paying for it. Oh shit, it's Dirt Rally 2. It didn't last time. It did, but not on the dailies. Did on time trial, but not on the dailies. But do you know the worst thing? The thing I hated the most about time trial, which this game fixes, your clock resets. Your odometer on your car resets. Genuinely, unbelievably annoying to me when that sort of thing happens. Unless I have to, I never buy a used car in a game, because I want to know. Oh, fuck off! Need a better bloody cable for this controller. Yeah, I never buy a controller. Never buy a controller. Never buy a new car unless I have to buy a used car. Always buy new in games, because I like having the odometer to me, which this game does beautifully, because it even includes dailies and it includes time trials. It even includes free roam, for God's sake, because they actually programmed it to where it's not just going, you finished the stage, add the time. I don't know if it's changed. I knew there were a couple of cheated time trial stages, but not every stage was cheated, sort of thing. Yeah, the detail of a used car having miles is quite nice. Like, it's a nice detail. Although one thing that does then slightly get unrealistic with that is you end up replacing the engine, and you should reset the odometer if you replace the engine, because the odometer is how many miles the engine's done. Which then I was watching a car restoration, and a guy was going through the service history, and he was like, this engine is basically the ship of Theseus. Everything on this engine has been replaced, other than like this one bit. So if I replace this, do I have to reset the odometer? Yeah, but it's the same engine. But every part individually has been replaced, which makes slightly more than the ship of Theseus, because the ship of Theseus is obviously, it's still the ship of Theseus, in the same way that, I don't know, fucking a building that burns down is still the same building if they've completely rebuilt it, because people say it's the same building, because that is still, you know, could be a completely different ship of Theseus, still the ship of Theseus, because it's a ship that everybody refers to as a ship of Theseus. But if inside of an engine no one singular part has done the miles that are on the odometer, do you reset the odometer to the miles of the oldest item, or at that point do you reset it to 0, or, you know... Aye, Trigger's broom. The bit that people forget about Trigger's broom is the second part, where he's basically said, I won an award for it. And he pulls out a picture, and they say, so how do you know it's the same broom? If you've had all these new heads and all these new handles. I've got a picture of me with it, haven't I? Isn't that proof enough? Look after your broom. And your broom will look after you? No. Just look after your broom. It's so much better than just being a Ship of Theseus reference, and it did annoy me when my dad was like, oh, when I was making my granddad's bike and I was taking a lot of parts off because the wheels were dented, so I had to replace the wheels. But to replace the wheels, you're not going to find 650B fucking rim rod pull brakes wheels. Couldn't find any, so gonna have to replace the wheels. So to replace the wheels, got to replace the brakes. To replace the brakes, got to replace the handlebars. And he was like, oh, it's Trigger's broom. I was like, for one, there's a few more parts to it than a head and a handle. And for two, I've still got the frame and the fucking pedals. My road bike's about in the same state though. I've replaced the wheels, the tyres. If I replace the stem and the handlebars. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Everybody agrees it's the frame that's the same bike. Because people... I mean, hell, people just swap wheels. Quite a lot of people now, what they do, instead of having two different bikes, two different entire bikes like they used to, an off-road one and an on-road one, off-road drop bar bikes have become so capable for most people's off-road riding that they don't need a mountain bike. What they need is a set of tyres with skinny slicks and a set of tyres with chunky and a bit of grip. Especially if they're only riding in the summer, they'll just need something like a file tread or a little bit more, just a small pattern. And so people literally change the wheels on their bars, on their bikes, between times. For time trialists, it's been a common thing to just... You change your wheels, time trialists and especially triathletes, you change your wheels depending on the course, so, and the rules. Are you allowed, how deep are you allowed for aerodynamic reasons? How deep of a dish of a wheel are you allowed? Are you allowed a full-on disc and no spokes showing? Are you allowed only 100, allowed only 50mm deep rim? Okay. And are you allowed the aero extension bars or not? And people were literally changing handlebars on bikes so that they had road bike handlebars or not road bike handlebars. No one's saying that that's a different bike. But also, the other thing with mine is that I may have changed the wheels, but I didn't change the hubs, the centres of the wheels. I rebuilt the hubs into new rims, which was purely fortunate that I could even do it, because I had to check that I could even do it. The rear one was going to happen no matter what, because 3-speed Sturmy Archer, and because I can't put normal gears on the bike. It's either one gear or an internal Sturmy Archer 3-speed. But it had to line up with the number of holes in the hub, matches the number of holes in the rim. Unless you want to be really ballsy, as somebody did. They got a 32 spoke hole rim and paired it with a 16 hole hub and went every other. I was like, I think that the rim is slightly more important. I'd kind of be alright putting a 16 hole, a 32 hole hub with a 16 hole rim, but not the other way around. But it's fine, it was steel box, it'd be fine. And the guy was light. Wouldn't recommend doing it if you're heavy. There's a chap we cycle with, he's a very, very big lad, and he also pedals quite hard. And he had to get some custom super duper strong rims made. They're built for aggressively off-road riding and hitting into stuff, and he rides on the road only. And yeah, he was like, I just kept destroying other rims and destroying other wheels, so it was easier just to get these built up. Super strong. Yeah, I think the thing that you're losing is the redundancy, because that's what a lot of people have said about wheels. Like the fewer spokes you've got, the more aerodynamic it is, and the lighter it is, because you've got less things going through the air and less things on the bike. But if one of them goes out of alignment, even, making the whole wheel round and straight and true, much more difficult in the first place, but then one goes out of alignment and it causes way more of an issue than it used to. It's actually become more of a thing recently for two reasons. One is rims being carbon fibre, they're kind of straight. Yeah, it's more stress on the other one, but also you'll have one spokes alternate coming from the left hand side of the hub. They all go to obviously the centre of the wheel, of the outside rim, but they'll come from the left hand flange of the hub and then the right hand flange of the hub. So if one breaks, then you've got nothing pulling the other two on each side of it to the left. So, say the left hand one breaks, you've now got extra stress pulling from the right, and the whole wheel goes off to the right. And now your brakes are probably rubbing if you've only got one spoke every 16th of a turn round versus every 32nd. If you've got 32 spokes, then it's 32 sections rather than 16, so you're twice as distant. So yeah, it's more stress and stuff, but it has, for two reasons. One is carbon fibre, it holds its shape straight and they make them straight, versus metal where it wasn't held as straight and it was up to the spokes very, very much. But two, it's not great if you break a spoke on carbon. Two is disc brakes. Having the brakes on the rim means that if the rim's all wobbly, the brakes are going to rub. Whereas disc brakes, don't matter if the brake's a bit wobbly. Or the rim's a bit wobbly, because the disc in the centre won't be. So yeah, it's been more and more over time, and now they're making spokes out of string again. They tried it ages ago in the early 2000s with carbon fibre strings, so you had flexible, because the thing with spokes is that they don't need to be in compression where you're pushing inwards, they just need to be in tension, and so having string means that it can just pull on the top, and it's got more of a tensile strength, so pulling strength, than steel. Your hair, weight for weight, has more of a tensile strength, so the ability to be pulled against, than steel. Because if you think how much force it actually takes you, if you pull a hair out of your head or whatever, and then you pull on it end to end to snap it in half, how much force it takes you to do that, it's... yeah, so it's pulling rather than pushing. Because as you go around the wheel, one side pulls, one side pushes, and if everything is tight and in tension, then you shouldn't need it, and it gives the wheel the ability to bend a little bit more. It's a weird thing, because it effectively means that without reducing the actual overall strength of the wheel can flex a little bit more where it should, and then they have to be designed, and then some wheel manufacturers were like, please don't use our wheels with rope spokes because they're really not meant for being like twice as much weight technically being put on the top, sort of, kind of, and they are designed to be pushed against and stuff like that. It was all very weird when they came out. Now everyone's kind of getting the hang of them and where they can be used and what their benefits actually are. But there's also the there's also the argument of, are they less likely to break? Yeah, because the thing with less likely to break with them is if you've got a steel thing and it snags against a tree branch, it's not going to tear and fibres aren't going to come off. Whereas the fibre ones, they could. Which is why the old carbon fibre ones were fine, because they were coated in plastic. But then there's also the fact that because the string ones can flex a little bit more and aren't so rigid, if they hit into a rock, would you know, if you crash and your bike's going tumbling down the side of a mountain, because these are all mountain bike things, if it hits a rock, is it more likely to snap? But at the same time, as was pointed out by one guy in the comments on Pink Bike, he was like, well, if my bike's tumbling down the side of a mountain, probably so am I, and if my bike breaks in that situation, I'm almost certainly broken, and therefore have some time to fix it before I'm going to need that wheel to be round again. It's like, yeah, fair point. If your bike goes flying down the trail and spokes are pinging off, you've probably broken a bone. And if you've broken a bone, you don't need the bike for a bit. Get back out on the road bike. I need to get back to convincing my uncle to get a beta mountain bike set up with mudguards. Just checking I've done them all. So there have been reports of the leaderboards being slow, but in general my internet's also been shit the last week. I think this is my internet, because websites have taken ages. Oh yeah, cool. That is Indonesia in the rain.